I've decided to give myself an early Christmas present, and if, like me, you find in the mornings a bit on the nippy side, I've got my Discovery 4 HSE. Great spec. The only problem is, it doesn't have a heated steering wheel. I have to avoid the mud. Had a bit of a nightmare day out shooting yesterday, but as you can see from the steering wheel, it's got all the stuff on it, except there's no flappy paddle bit here, and you can see there's the bit on the side there where it should be. It's a bit of a shame they missed this out of the HSE. I think it's one of the things that I've just gotten used to. So the good news is that I found on eBay this. Now, this is a heated steering wheel from a 2016 HSE Luxury, and what I really like about it is you can just see it's got the perforated leather around the sides. Now, the one problem with this wheel is that it's really shiny, and it seems to be a bit of a problem with the Discovery steering wheels. They tend to go very shiny, and that's because of, you know, the oils and the dirt on people's hand, and it looks a bit rubbish. So I'm going to show you how to clean this up, and then later in the video I'm going to show you how to retrofit this into this car. So I'm going to show you how to get rid of the shininess on these steering wheels, and you don't need any harsh chemicals. You don't need fancy leather cleaners. I've used those in the past. I've never really found them that good. The one thing you need is some water and one of these. Now, these are often called a magic sponge, or they're actually just a cellulose sponge. You can buy them in, you know, sort of any sort of shop really, and they're very soft. But don't be fooled. These things can be a little bit dangerous. They're a bit like a scouring pad. So don't use them on glossy surfaces. And you can see that I've masked the switch packs on the steering wheel, because what I'm going to do is just dip this in water, squeeze it out, and just gently rub it on the leather. You have to be careful. It's better to do a little bit first and then go back and do it again after you've dried it, and just see how it's getting on, because you can actually start to take off layers of the leather. So like I said, please be careful with these. Not everyone thinks these are great. I do, and I think they do a great job of making old leather look new again and giving that lovely sort of factory fresh matte look. So you can see what this looks like now. It's quite shiny. I'm going to have a go at this, and then we'll see what the results are like. So you'll notice that I'm using one of our nicest white towels. My wife's going to kill me for that, but just squeeze this out in the water and then just rub it over like this. And it's a bit like when you do a clay bar on your car, and you can look at the clay and see the dirt. You can probably see the black drips coming off. Now that's just dirt. If you think about it, it's probably one of the dirtiest parts of your car, because rarely do people wash their hands when they get in and out of the car. And I'm just giving this a nice rub down, and you can see the dirt coming off, and you can see it on the towel. This water's getting rapidly dirty too. So I'm going to keep doing this, and then when I'm done, I'll dry it off and I'll show you what it looks like. So I've done it once and I've dried it off, and you can see that the finish is extremely different. Still a few shiny bits. It's up to you whether you do it again, but the results are clear. I mean, there's the dirt that's just dripped off, and you can see how dirty that water is. Now these sponges, they last a couple of goes and they start to break up. So, but they're really cheap. They're about £1 or so for a pack of 2 or 3, but it's made a big difference to the look of that steering wheel. And so the next stage is to transfer this onto the car. What I want to show you here is the inside of the steering wheel, and you can see we've got an earth wire here, the multi-plug for all the steering wheel switch packs, and then this one is the heated steering wheel part. Now, to get the airbag out, you have to use a tool like this. I got this from Powerful UK. You could probably just find one on the internet, nice and cheap. Powerful also still sell them. And you'll see this part here on both sides. That, as you can see, has a little tang underneath it, and the spring for the airbag sits under there. And so this tool is inserted through the side of the steering wheel, and then you pull, that comes out like that. There's the hole in the side of the steering wheel, one each side. So we're going to stick that tool through there and then try and find the tang. You can also see that it's quite handy. There's like a guided slot for that tool to come through from the side of the steering wheel to align it perfectly on the side there. You can just see it in the center of the screen. So after a little bit of wrangling, I've finally undone the two lugs on the airbag. You can see it's loose, and I can pull it away, and you can see we've got some electrical connectors up there, which I'm just going to disconnect with the needle nose pliers. Now, steering wheel and airbag are out the way, and you can see that these are the connections here to the clock spring behind. And what we can see is that on the top of here should be another little 2-peg connector for the heated steering wheel, and my vehicle doesn't have it. So I need to get a new clock spring before I go any further. It's pointless removing the steering wheel and trying to find the power to it all, etc. We can do all that another day, but the fun is I've got to take that airbag off another time when I've got a new clock spring. So we'll come back to this. Just want to illustrate for you as well, when you're sliding this in, this tool, to get to this bit here and get underneath that tang, this is the spring that basically you're trying to get underneath and pull outwards, and there's quite a lot of spring tension in that. So it's a case of pulling that out till it releases side by side. Right, day 2. This arrived in the post this morning. Fantastic speed. Got it on eBay. Genuine part. You can see LR018556. That's the latest clock spring with the connectors for the heated steering wheel. So we're going to unpack this. I've got to take the airbag off again. I've just disconnected the battery, give it a few minutes, and we'll start all over again. Always worth, before you've fully removed the center bolt, which is a 16mm by the way, just seeing if your steering wheel will come off, because if you have a steering wheel hit you in the face, it's not much fun. So good practice just to leave a little bit of it threaded on. I'm going to remove that now and take the steering wheel off so we can see the clock spring behind. Once that nut's off, apologies for the shaky hand, you can see the markings there on the column and the steering wheel lining up. So even if you've got terrible alignment on your wheels, those two should be lined up, and that's what we'll do with the next one as well. So this is the clock spring, and you can see that's where the airbag and everything else was attached here. I've now opened up the steering wheel cowl, as you can see, and then down inside, I don't know if you can just see that, I'll try and point the torch at it and the camera at the same time. In there somewhere should be the wires for the heating element, so I'm just going to undo that insulation in there and try and pull that through. Right, so far a success. I've taken off there were 2 T20 Torx star bits on the lower part here. There's also a third one right underneath there, and you have to drop this panel down to get to it, and this panel just pulls out. It's nice and easy. So now I've found the wire that's going to feed the power to the heated steering wheel, and I've just disconnected everything from the side of the clock spring. So now it's just a case of undoing the 4 Phillips screws that hold this on. You can see that rotates like that, and yeah, putting the new one on. So let's get on with that. Let's have a look at the difference between these 2 clock springs. This is the one I've taken off, and you can see this is the connectors for the airbag. This is the multi-plug connector for all the switch packs. I've just taped it up to stop it spinning around, just to keep it central. And you can see here as well, it's only got 2 electrical connectors. Let's look at the new one. Who doesn't like unboxing brand new things, eh? Take this out, get rid of that box. Gently, you can see it's got a clip on it to prevent it spinning around, but instantly you can see we've got the extra connector here for the wire that I just found in there, and then at the top there's the one from the steering wheel that's going to go in there. So just a case of putting that in there and start to rebuild everything, and hopefully it will all go to plan. Let's see. Right, the new clock spring's in place, the cowl is back, that panel is back. Next thing is to pull this pin which releases the clock spring, and then put my replacement steering wheel in place. That's out. they're in, and I can see that the alignment is as it should be. So now we've got all of this lot to plug it in. So these two plug back into the clock spring. Only goes in one way. It's just a case of getting it the right way. That's in. The heated steering wheel electrics are in. The switch packs are in. Now it's just a case of getting the airbag back in and tucking those wires up underneath there. So you can see we've got the two connectors and the earth. So if I put it like this, ta-da! Well, it's been a couple of minutes and I've got a lovely toasty steering wheel. Fantastic.